Zadrizes Buzdari Skosdau.
Hello, I'm here in Targaryen Forest, and I'm just kidding. What's up, everyone? All right, I got some notes we're gonna go through quick, some leaks, right? That'll be for like the first 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna go to Patreon and then jump in the chat in between. I did start like 7 minutes early, but technically this live stream it's like 9 hours late. I'm supposed to be doing it at noon, and actually the next live stream that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be Sunday nights at 9 because that just makes the most sense, right? So that'll be the new time slot. I was able to clear and make sure that I'm able to do the live streams at that time. So from here going forward, at least for the next couple of weeks, it may change again, but it'll be Sunday nights at 9. This was just one that had to be pushed back. Earlier in the day doesn't really work for a lot of people in the time zone I'm in. But let me give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now, because there was like 10 people that were here before I even started streaming. So that's cool. Let's see. All right, shout out to Claudia Haras, Sylvia Osgood, Cheryl Lindsay, Tasha Williams, John Haymaker, Miss Lady LA, Riley Rains, Jonathan Wood, Gabriel Orilana, John Rod, Laura Estrada, Triton 54, Zeus Bimnit, Mother Hen of Damn If I Know Farms, Dawn of the Frank. Sorry, I'm reading this from my phone. It's kind of weird. And I actually think I might need glasses. Dawn of the Frank, Corvette D. And I think I got everybody. I'm going to do another shout out after we've been going for a little bit. I keep saying, always like nervous for the first 20 minutes of these live streams, even though I've done like probably over 200 of them. All right. Got this weird thing in my eye. So there's some leaks, and I'm going to be jumping in the chat too because I want to get y'all's thoughts on these lives, right? I've done 2 videos recently on these. Well, actually 3, but the first one came out like 2 weeks ago at this point. So the most 2 recent videos that I've done, aside from the Daemon and Rainier one, the one that got hit crazy by YouTube algorithm, it has like 1,000 views. Those other 2, right? So the leaked Alicent scene with Daemon, and then there's another one that just is like a compilation of stuff. I want to go through some of those real quick right now, and then I'm gonna do my Patreon questions, and then I'm gonna jump in the chat. All right, so one of them, right, for season 2, these are all bullshit. Take them with a grain of salt. Let me get my hat. I look ridiculous. Targaryen. I'm in the Targaryen fields. This is somewhere in here's the thing that I never really thought about. And this is not in my notes or anything like that, but what does the land surrounding Valyria look like? It's volcanic, yes, but is it also tropical? Is it like Hawaii? Is it subtropical? Does it look like Hawaii? Maybe. I don't know. It was a random thought I had. All right, so the first leak that you should take with a grain of salt because it's a load of bullshit. Laenor comes back, right, with a bastard son, and these are all things that I've mentioned in those 2 recent videos. So if you haven't seen those, you can go watch them now. Laenor comes back with a bastard son and then dies before he can claim Sea Smoke. That bastard son is supposedly actually Corlys's bastard, and it's so stupid. Since Laenor dies before he could claim Sea Smoke, and the reason why he comes back, this person was saying, was because obviously there's a war going on now. And when Laenor left, there wasn't really a war, even though he knew that, the queen having made, this is just how ridiculous this leak is. It's just nonsense. Since Laenor saw that Alicent was forcing Rhaenyra to carry Joffrey, right, their baby, to go see her right after Rhaenyra had to be, he knows there's a war, so it'd be stupid if that's the reason why it comes back. But maybe if it is, he could die off screen. That would, in my opinion, make the most sense since he was already supposed to be dead, right? But this person was saying that he comes back with a bastard son. He's gay, but he also has a bastard son, and that bastard son is his half brother, according to this leaker. It's It's a bastard of Corlys, and that's technically canon because that's Adamov Hall and Alan are also Corlys's bastards in the books. At least that's believed because he doesn't bring them forward and legitimize them until after he already well, I mean, obviously Rhaenys is dead, but he feels comfortable doing it because she's dead, because that's like some of the subtext that's mentioned in Fire and Blood. Because Rhaenys is dead, he feels comfortable bringing those bastards forward, right? And then another one, that one's stupid. Let me see what the chat thinks about that. Background looks weird. All right, let me switch it up on you. It does look weird. That's because it's the background that came with with the streaming software I'm using. It's not like in my actual green screen I use for my videos. The one I use for my videos is a little bit better. How's this look? We're in the fiery chasms of Mount Doom. Wait, let's do this one. I hope I didn't just freeze it just trying to switch green screens. It should do it, right? Oh, man, did I just freeze the stream? That's silly. Should be able to switch green screens. That is crazy. Well, I might have just ruined this stream. Whoops. Let me see what it looks like on YouTube. Oh, wait. No, it looks good on YouTube. It's just frozen on my end. Okay, that's cool. Well, so let's see. What do y'all think about that Laner leak? Leak is silly. Exactly. Yes, it is. No. Have not gotten the laptop yet. Probably won't be getting that for a while. I did set up a GoFundMe for it, but I've only gotten a couple $100 donated there, so and I'm gonna add my money to it. But no, this is the same. It's just a virtual background here. Let me see if I can't remove the virtual background. Well, no, because the room is a mess, so I don't want to do that. But no, I'm upstairs still. Season 2 already. I know, right? But the leaks are fun. What? Winterborn? What's that? Do you think they kind of messed up Laner? I've already talked about that before. Leak is fake. Yes, take it with a grain of salt. We got a bunch more, though. I'm just seeing what y'all's feedback is of it live. Hey, Laura. What's up, Zeus? Hey, Sylvia. Welcome. First timer. Welcome. Hey, Claudia. Hey, Sir Hunt. What's up? What's up? All right, so let me move on to the next leak, right? Let's see. This one's fun. Neville Longbottom is going to be playing Cregan Stark. So Neville Longbottom, we all know, Harry Potter, right? His real name is Matthew, Matthew Lewis, right? That dude, that was one of the leaks. Wait, no, that wasn't a leak. That was my casting. Okay, so yeah, I put my stuff at the bottom of this thinking, like, if these leaks are too stupid. All right, but yeah, so that was one of them. What do y'all think of that? Let me know. Live. Feedback live. What do y'all think? Neville Longbottom? That's Cregan Stark? Indeed. It's the chat refreshes faster on my phone. It's weird because I'm looking at the one through the streaming software. Westworld was canned. I hope HBO was smart and keeps House of the Dragon on for a long time. They should. It was received really well. Like, it's the most viewed show, I think, next to Game of Thrones. The amount of the amount of like viewers that it had in every episode were the exact same as like season 8 and season 7. So that's they should at least renew it. I know they did for season 2, but they should at least renew it for like all 4 seasons, because that's all the show's going to be on for anyway. Should go ahead and do that. Yes, it's just weird. It's like doing this spinning loop thing on the streaming software, which is not really helpful at all. It should refresh because it shows me. Long bottom is all right with me. I just feel like that would surprise people. And to be honest, the average show watcher may not even recognize, like, even if you've seen Harry Potter, he looks a lot different now. So you probably, because it's been like 10 years. 2011 was when Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out. So it's been a while since anybody's seen that dude. What's up, 13th hour? Stop getting my hopes up about Longbottom. And that's a really funny name. I wonder if there's some context, some like English joke or something that long, I mean, like obviously long butt, right? Daemon doesn't give a rat's ass. Exactly. That's Daemon for you. All right, so let's move on to some more leaks. I was trying to get more feedback for the laner stuff, but I mean, I didn't see much other than that sucks. So another one is that there's a Daemon and Allison flashback sex scene. Potentially he's Aemon's father. And that one's stupid. The person probably sent me that because that's like something that's been going around. A lot of people, myself included, I made a video all the way back in like 2020. It was 2021, but it was early 2021 where I was like, oh yeah, maybe Daemon is Aemon's father. And that was before they were casted. Like Matt Smith was casted, but that was not before, like no one knew Ewan Mitchell was playing Aemon. So that was pretty dope. But it was mostly just because when you read it in Fire and Blood, it sounds like Aemon is a lot more like Daemon, right? Not like Viserys. Not just looks, but just personality, how Aemon's battle prowess, him training with Kristen Cole, right? And then him riding a really fierce dragon like Vhagar, right? And then also his brutality a little bit, because you hear about Daemon's brutality somewhat in duels and how he beheads Kragus Crab Feeder, and then also he would slit the noses of pickpockets, right, in Fire and Blood. So you hear about that, and then you hear about Aemon viciously killing Lucerys, right, when it was supposed to be, a peace mission, at least trying to no fighting, right? We saw that. It was sort of like a parlay. So Aemon broke that and killed him. We just figured out how on the TV show. But when you hear that, that made me think, okay, maybe Aemon is Daemon's son. But the thing I'm missing out is, or the thing that I'm leaving out is that you also hear is Alicent's pretty promiscuous. There's rumors that she slept with Viserys before Emma Arryn even died. So that's what made me think, oh, well, maybe she was probably sleeping with Daemon off and on, even after she married the king and had a couple kids by him, because obviously Aegon and Helena are both older than Aemon. That was nonsense. I'll come back to feedback from the chat later, because that kind of, I feel like, slows down my thought process a little bit, waiting for people's response, because there's a delay there, obviously. I'll go through a couple more things, and then I'll go to the Patreon questions. Let's see. So there's supposed to be a budget that was $20 million per episode. That's going to be probably somewhat legit, right? I would say close to that, if not. This one was a new one, but I thought it would be cool. I kind of liked it. Daemon being played by Oscar Novak. That's the little kid who played the younger version. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. Yeah, the younger version of the dude. I was trying to see if I put the actor's name in my notes, but I didn't. The younger version of the actual Northman, right? And that might be cool, because he'd be right around the same age as that. That movie just came out a couple years ago, and the dude's like 12. that's it, because I just made videos on that. It feels silly to re-mention this stuff. All right, so let me go to my Patreon questions. All right, so this first question is from my patron named... Well, I just had it pulled up here. I was going to pull up the first post I made because I made 2 different posts asking for questions and topics, talking points. This is from AnaaaRodarte, right? She says, or they said, how many people do you think he will sleep with next season? Referring to Daemon. And who's your favorite character from Team Black or Team Green? That's a hard one. How many people will Daemon sleep with next season? Probably like 69. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, canonically, probably he'll start sleeping with Nettles, or at least he'll start developing a relationship with her. But maybe he'll have sex scenes with Rhaenyra and obviously Mysaria a couple more times. There's going to be added sex scenes for sure, especially with Matt Smith's character, because that was really popular amongst the people that were watching. Favorite character from Team Black or Team Green? My favorite character from Team Green would easily be Helena, but that's a cheapskate because she done nothing wrong. I would say Aemon and Aegon too, right? Aegon too, because the actor is dope, right? Also, the character, in my opinion, was pretty well done. Like, everybody's like, oh, he's a rapist. You got to be mean to him. Yeah, but this is a fictional character, and you also got to realize that if the show wants to stick to full canon, every character was doing... Let me stop. That's a demonetized path. But yeah, so well, let's just say Aemon. And then for the Blacks, right? My favorite character on the Blacks is Caraxes, but that's cheating because it's a dragon. Everybody loves the dragons. So maybe, I mean, Cregan Stark is a Stark, right? If I want to be like, oh, I'm not like all the other girls, like Reddit / not like other girls. If I want to be like that, I would say not Cregan or whatever. I mean, Cregan, because he doesn't ride a dragon and he doesn't come in till later, and he's technically the most justified in his actions in the story, right? But that's too easy. I would pick for the Blacks, and technically Cregan Stark is on Team's Blacks. Even though he shows up 2 years later and everyone's dead. Literally, the king and the queen is dead. He starts dishing out justice. Stark justice. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite character on the Blacks. I mean, on the TV show, I'm thinking books and TV show. But if I just narrow it down to just the TV show, then that would be easier, right? Caraxes for my dragon on the Blacks. And then obviously Vhagar and Aemon for the Greens. But Caraxes for my dragon on the Blacks. And then my favorite character, this is me stalling to try to think of somebody obscure, right? You know who my favorite character on the Blacks is? Eric Cargill. Weren't expecting that. Probably was. No, maybe you were. I don't know. I was just talking to Eric, right, on Instagram through the DM, so that was cool. That's why they're my favorite character, and I can do that because why not? And then thank you for those submitted questions, AnaaaRodarte. And then the next question is from Melanie Vine, and they said, I won't be able to watch the live stream as I'm in England, and I like to be up to do my husband's lunch for work and then work myself. However, I wondered if you think Harwin Strong could still be alive. I know we saw a burnt body, but maybe for Rhaenyra's sake, he decided to stay away. We've seen how they did that with Laenor Velaryon. I'm sure it doesn't happen in the books, but maybe the show could do it. Maybe with burns to his face like the Hound. Words of his son's death could force him out to help Rhaenyra and protect his other... Possibly stupid, but I just thought I'd ask. Yeah, I think he's dead. I think the whole point was that like the fire, when he tried to break in and save his dad, or at least wake him up, it was too late because that whole like area, their chambers were already engulfed in flames, and I think they were sleeping next to each other. Maybe he's definitely dead. Also, it wouldn't serve a purpose story-wise to bring him back, because I don't think, if you want to go down the path of like who's Rhaenyra, who her love interest should be on the show, it wouldn't be Harwin. Well, I don't know, because that part was kind of skipped over. That was a complaint for season 1, but I would argue that Harwood wouldn't be the best love interest, and that would be the only reason to bring him back, right? So he's definitely dead. But thank you for that submitted question, Melanie Vine. And then we got another one from Cheryl Lindsay, and she says, "What do you think will be the biggest surprise / departure from book canon next season? Also, what other book to TV shows do you enjoy? I am loving Interview with the Vampire. Jacob Anderson is great in it. Thank you for all you do." Jacob Anderson played Grey Worm, and I haven't actually seen that show, and I probably should. But the one thing that sketched me out about it is the network that produces it. That's why I haven't. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for it. Also, I seen in the comments on my videos that he's doing an American accent, and I've done a bunch of rants about Americans, or British people doing American accents and Americans doing British accents. So I don't want to talk about that. But I have not seen that show. So to answer the second part of your question first, what other book to TV shows do you enjoy? I don't think very many. I mean, I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power show. That's technically a book to TV show, even though there was a lot of it that was made up. But because I know little to nothing, in my opinion, I know more than I think the average person who watches the Lord of the Rings movie, but I know a lot less compared to my Song of Ice and Fire knowledge base. But because I didn't know that much about the Rings of Power and that time period that it takes place in, a lot of the things that bothered other people about that show didn't bother me. So that's one other show that I enjoyed, the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And the first part of your question is, what do you think will be the biggest surprise departure from book canon in season 2? That's a good one. I did think about this quickly before, and I can kind of, I guess, give that answer now. It would be along the line of deaths, right? So Rook's Rest is going to be one of the earlier battles, but hopefully it doesn't take place till like halfway through the season, because that's ultimately where Rhaenys dies, and then Aegon is scarred from there on out. Sunfire is taken out. Vhagar and Aemon are fine, but that's also when Aemon assumes the crown. And if they're going to stretch the story out a little bit, I'd like for that to happen closer to the end of season 2, because then that gives more time for Aegon to wear the crown, and we could see how he is after he enjoys all that power, right? And then ultimately, when Aemon assumes the Prince of the Realm title, not actually King Aemon, even though you got to realize Aegon is so badly hurt, he sleeps most of the day. So when that happens and Aemon takes the crown, the story takes a different direction, and Ewan Mitchell, becomes the character focus. So a fake out per se would be that maybe initially, well, no, because that would put him taking the crown. I was going to say maybe they could put when he gets injured with Moondancer and jumps off of his dragon and then breaks his legs. That could be when Aemon takes it, but that's way too long down the storyline. But I would like them to change that as far as the story goes. But like just to stay away from canon, I don't know. I don't like departing from book canon too much. So that's kind of hard to answer, to be honest. But it would be cool if they moved Rook's Rest around a little bit to maybe, because the story is with Rhaenys is that next to Meleys, right, her dragon, the carcass is unrecognizable, but you assume that it's Rhaenys because it's next to her dragon Meleys, and Meleys just got into this massive fight with Vhagar and Sunfire and Aemon and Aegon too. So if that's the case, maybe that carcass is not actually Rhaenys. They're only going to be able to do that 1 or 2 times in the story. So if they do it with Rhaenys, they won't be able to do it with Daemon later on in the story, because that's how Daemon's death is written away. So if they do that with Rhaenys, and maybe she barely survives the battle, but Meleys dies, maybe she could, you know what? It actually wouldn't hurt canon at all if she survived that battle, because her dragon's dead, and technically the carcass that was found was assumed to be her. Maybe she, whatever role she plays in the rest of the story, is ignored from history, because her dragon's dead, and there's never been a Targaryen who has mounted another dragon after their dragon dies. Like we just saw that with Viserys, so that should be canon for the TV show. When Balerion died, he never mounted another dragon. It's not exactly mentioned that Targaryens can't do that, but dragons can take on multiple riders. You just assume that once someone has ridden a dragon, that they can't make that bond with another dragon, or risk that trying to do it, because you could die, get burned, or have your arm bitten off, or whatever. So if that's the case, technically Rainey's, whatever her role would be, if she did survive the battle at Rook's Rest, that would be a decent change from canon. Although you could argue what would be her character's purpose aside from surviving that battle. And like also they kind of just did the burned carcass thing with Laenor in season 1, so that would feel like a repeated story element. So don't listen to me and what I just said about the battle at Rook's Rest, because that would be a bad change for canon if Rhaenys doesn't die there. Just maybe make it happen later on in the season, because like I said, after that battle, that's when Aemon assumes the crown, and that would be kind of not the best thing to do this early, because you don't get to explore Aegon's character for a while. Like, he should be taken out after that. That's why Aemon basically wears his crown. So let's see. Was that it for that comment? Yes, it was. All right. So there was a second post that I made more recently about this live stream, and that was today. And going here on out, I'm only going to make one, and I'll make that post the day of, or maybe a couple days before, so I can give everybody a few days to write the comments in. So the next one is from Tracy Summers, and she didn't actually leave a question, but she did say, "Hi, Sir Hunts. I will probably be a little bit late. We have tickets for the Black Panther tonight." Oh shit! I'm not saying oh shit. Like, I want to go to that, but I realized that that's something that I'm going to review and put up on my Patreon, and I don't want to give myself a shout out right now. But once I watch Black Panther 2, I will be putting an audio podcast up on Patreon. And right now, Patreon, I figured out how to upload longer videos. They basically want me to pay more money, so they would charge me more of a percentage of, like, they take a fee out of the top, like off the top rather, for however much I make in pledges. In order for me to upload longer videos, they want to take more of that money for me to do that. So they don't tell you exactly how much. It's a percentage. It would go from, they take 3% now, so it would go from 3% to 8%, and then I can upload videos as long as I want to. So I'm going to eventually do that. I just wanted to wait till I get closer to my goal. And then when I do that, I'll be able to upload probably just on Patreon, because YouTube's algorithm, no matter how much I ask for people to slap likes on it, or to promote my videos, or to just, leave a comment for the algorithm, no matter how much I ask people to do that, it still really doesn't help, because I'll put out a video that I put all this time and energy into, and it'll just get tanked, right? I'll try to pay attention to when I should upload it. YouTube tells you helpful things about, like, when all of your subscribers are online, right? And if you follow those tips, you're supposed to be able to have success. Obviously, I'm following every single one of them, and that's not happening. So I'm taking the power into my own hands, and I'm promoting myself. I see people, a couple of trolls, because I can click and see their comment history and see, oh, they've only commented once, or they're not even subscribed to my channel, right? When that happens, I get like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't say it so much, but then I also think again, like, no, I want to no longer rely on YouTube. So Patreon is the best thing to do, because when I reach $1,500, that is a good chunk, almost all of my bills. So that's what I'm trying to do with YouTube, because it's a passion, right? I think that's what most people that work try to do, is pay their bills, right? That's the minimum. That's what I want to try to do with Patreon. So if I can do that, then I'm probably not going to upload to YouTube at all, because then I'll be able to switch to that 8%, right? It's a different Patreon plan, so that I could upload videos as long as I want to. But right now, they could only be short. So there's going to be an audio version of the Black Panther podcast. So moving on to the next question. Thank you for leaving that, Tracy Summers. And also, thank you for donating to my GoFundMe to get a laptop, which is ultimately a way for me to make content way more consistently, because we live in the room that I'm in right now. And ultimately, when my kids are sleeping up here, when we're sleeping up here, it's not, I can't just come turn on the TV and turn on my computer and start editing a video. So, the next comment is from Tasha Williams, and I saw you in the chat, Tasha. What's up? She said, I would love a discussion on Arya. If it hasn't been done. Oh, yeah. Also, real quick, after I do this thing, I wanted to encourage people. If anybody's giving super chats, I don't know if there has been any. If there has, thank you so much. I'm going to go back and read them. But if there hasn't, please consider checking out, if you want to do a super chat, rather, consider checking out my merch. I know all YouTubers do that, but if you're getting something back, I think people would be more inclined to want to give a random dude on the internet talking about maybe potentially your favorite TV show money, right? So I have like stickers and t-shirts and a hoodie. All of those things are shit that I designed, right? I designed every single thing that's on there. So that's cool. But each one of those things I've priced so where I would make anywhere from $5 to $10 off of each of those things sold. And to be transparent, I've made 2 sales so far, right? One of them is a t-shirt and the other one is a hoodie, and I've made $17. And I don't know how to, I mean, I could screen share spring tea, but I can post a picture of it in my Instagram story. But I think that's the best way to do it. And that's probably why most YouTubers do it, because they feel like people are getting stuff in return instead of you're all just giving this dude, this idiot talking into his camera and mic. Most people could probably do this, right? Instead of just giving him your hard-earned money, you're getting something in return. And I made some funny stickers. And as it, like, obviously, as I'm able to design more stuff, hopefully I get better and better at it, right? But anyway, the next comment comes from, and I want to show that. I want to show my thing. It's actually linked on my YouTube. I should be set up already. But this comes from Tasha Williams. And she says, I would love a discussion. Thank you for your patronage, Tasha. And also thank you, Tracy Summers. And then my 3 Dragon Knights, I'm about to give them a shout out, but also I didn't even realize this. I should have said this at the beginning, right? One of the rewards for joining one of the tiers on my Patreon is that you get a verbal shout out in every video. So shout out to Brandy Reed for joining the Dragonlord tier. That's for $100 a month. That's amazing. Thank you for joining that. Also, we've got some other stuff where she gets a t-shirt. And then my 3 Dragon Knights, right? So the Northwest, remember, he's in the chat here. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel. He's fucking awesome. He's always making content about Game of Thrones Season 8 rewrites and continuing in Season 9. And then also a shout out to Heart of Inspiration and then Breanne Johnson. Thank you all so much for joining that tier as well. And then the other questions that I answered, that's who I wanted to thank for their patronage as well. So that was from, where's that post? AnaaaRodarte, Melanie Vine, and Cheryl Lindsay. So this comment, finally, I'm going to answer it. That's what ADHD is. And it's undiagnosed with me. So it's just, I'm just now figuring, like, I've always heard people say that, but I've always been like, man, I don't have that. I have a hyperactive attention span. I like making people laugh, but I didn't realize it's like ruining my life. Like when you do research into it, you realize, oh yeah, that's ruined almost every aspect of my fucking life. This one little thing that you hear people have, but people that have it and had it diagnosed rather, right? Because I'm self-diagnosed. People that haven't, they probably have it even worse because they were taking pills their whole life and then probably fucked up their personality. As a matter of fact, there's another YouTuber I follow on Twitter, someone I've met at festivals, has it, and they were talking about it publicly on their Twitter. I'm not going to say their name on this live stream because I don't know if they're comfortable with that, but that dude has it, and that's dope because he didn't tell me that, but I feel like that was why we instantly connected and we're hanging out because we were 2 ADHD bros just chilling. You know what I mean? So that's dope. But anyway, all right, Tasha Williams. See how I made the answering of the question longer by trying to make up for not making it so long? I would love a discussion on Arya. This is from Tasha Williams. If it hasn't been done yet, which I have, I've done several videos on Arya. I've done a live stream, I think, on Arya where I talked about most of House Stark. But she says, like, she didn't want to be a lady, so she left and got on a ship and sailed west of Westeros. I want her HBO spinoff. What's west of Westeros? Sorry, I have to burp. Just started to read the books. Does it continue her story in the books? So as of right now, she's still in Bravos. She's down in Bravos or Bravos is how you say it, technically. She's down there learning how to become a faceless man. And it's a lot more intricate in the books because so in the TV show, I think she just stabs Meryn Trant in the eye because he's a pedophile, right? So in the books, she kills this dude, Darian, who's a singer, who's a member of the Night's Watchmen, who flees the Night's Watch. So Arya kills him. Also, he bullies Sam, but Arya doesn't necessarily know that. But Arya meets Sam when Sam's in Bravos. So Sam has met 2 of the Stark members of House Stark that Jon has not seen since when their father was alive. He intentionally didn't tell Jon Snow about Bran because Bran made Sam promise, but Sam also runs into Arya in Bravos. So that's getting back to your question. Arya in Bravos, she's right now, her story is, yes, continuing, but like I said, in the TV show, she's pretty much where she was in season 6. She never went back to Westeros. So at the beginning of season 7, she gets back to Westeros, makes her way to Winterfell, tricks the idiot guardsman, and goes inside Winterfell, right? That hasn't quite happened yet. Like, she's still learning how to become a faceless man. And when she kills Darian the singer, she gets punished, right? She gets forced to drink this milky substance. And the milk that she normally drinks, like, she normally drinks milk every night. She has this routine that she does when she goes back to the Hall of Black, the Hall of Faceless Men, basically the House of Black and White in Bravos. It's this temple that she's living at, studying to become a faceless man. And they have her doing these different deeds around the city. So she's carrying out her deeds. And when she comes back one night after she kills Darian, they know about it, right? They basically make her drink the milk and she goes blind and she's forced into servitude, and she ends up ultimately gaining her sight back because she follows. Now, I haven't read Feast with Crows. Like, I'm working my way through the books again, but I'm trying to remember exactly the last of where we hear her. She gets her vision back. We find out that she can work a cat because she can watch the kindly man from above, and the kindly man is asking her these questions. Like, they play a lot of games with Arya in the Hall of Faces, and one of them is he's asking her, the kindly man is asking, I say one of them because you don't really know who it is. He keeps changing his face. So Arya doesn't even know if Jack and Hagar was ever even a person that existed. So he's playing the game with her, and then she works a cat. So that's like the last we hear of her. And then I think there's been 1 or 2 POV sample chapters for Winds of Winter. And she's basically, right now, she's studying with mummers. She's studying so the kindly man tells her that eventually she'll learn how to change her face like how they do. But for certain occasions, there's no reason why a mummer's trick wouldn't work. So she's learning poisons, right, from the waif. She didn't have a crazy fight scene where she got chased. That never happened, right? She did get beat up. The abuse kind of thing did happen, but it was all training her. She's training to become this crazy ninja thing. And she's being taught all these knowledge and these secrets. There's no freaking way they would ever let her leave with all of the amount of stuff that her knowledge base now encompasses. So the TV show, that's why a lot of people were pissed that the Faceless Men plotline was never brought up, because when you realize how deep Arya is in this assassin gang in Bravos, there's no way they would let her leave with all of this knowledge, right? So anyway, right now she's learning, the poisons from the waif. She finds out that the waif looks really young because the waif takes these poisons to make her look young. And Arya asks the kindly man, like, will I look like that? And he's like, no, not if you don't want to. Ultimately, the waif storyline hasn't really been discussed too much. It's kind of a mystery. Like, you hear this one thing that her cornerstone goes back to, right? But she doesn't speak the common tongue, or she teaches Arya Bravosi, rather. They teach each other the languages. It's actually really cute because they kind of play games with each other, call each other stupid and stuff. So ultimately, I think that was good to answer that part of your question. And then what's west of Westeros? That is Lonely Light. And then ultimately, Essos, the other half of Essos, which is the continent where all the crazy things are happening right now in the main story. So Lonely Light is this one location that was discovered that's way out west of Westeros. And I think it's inhabited by an Iron Island house. I don't remember the house that is in power there, but it's one of the furthest islands west of Westeros. Arya probably stopped there, but ultimately she probably, Alice Westhill goes with this dude during Jaehaerys' reign, who's a member of House Hightower, right? So this is really cool. Alice Westhill steals 3 dragon eggs when Jaehaerys is a lot younger, and then takes off. And Jaehaerys basically ultimately says, like, if these dragon eggs hatch right now, he sells them to a Bravosi Sea Lord, in Bravos, by ridding the crown's debt, which is an ultimate, like, the crown was in debt by an insane amount from Maegor and Aenys and Aegon when they're building all this shit, right? So he rids the crown's debt by selling those stolen dragon eggs from Alice Westhill, this is related to West of Westeros, I promise. So when he does that, it's really cool because ultimately we don't hear about her story for a while in Fire and Blood until like towards the end of Jaehaerys' reign. And there's like a side note where you find out this one House Hightower character. Remember, this is when King Jaehaerys, the old king, the guy that we see if you're watching this and you haven't read Fire and Blood, he's the guy that's in power at the very beginning, the very first scene, and then he passes the crown to Viserys. So that dude, this happened during his reign when he was a lot younger. So 3 dragon eggs are stolen because his sister has a relationship with this woman. The woman is scorned, Alice Westhill, and she's still, that's a pseudonym, a fake name she's using, right? Alyssa Farman is her actual name, right? House Farman. Andrew Farman is this cuck that's married to Jaehaerys' sister, and Jaehaerys' sister is secretly probably a lesbian. She has a relationship with Alyssa Farman, and she eventually gets scorned, steals the 3 dragon eggs, and goes west of Westeros. So she goes west of Westeros initially by selling the 3 dragon eggs to the Bravosi Sea Lord. That's how she gets the ship made called Sun Chaser. It's a really fast ship. And then she ends up going west of Westeros, and she's seen, right, get this, in the port of Ashai by Corlys Velaryon in one of his many voyages. So what's west of Westeros is that's George's way, because the way he writes is not like 100% confirmed. It's like real history, kind of. You got to take it from multiple different sources and realize that whoever the main source is probably the victory of whatever battles were fought. So the story is going to be written from their perspective and make them look the goodest, right? But that probably confirms, that's George's way of saying, oh yeah, it's not a big mystery. It's a globe. They're on a planet. So it's going to be the other side of the world. That's what's west of Westeros. So hopefully that answered your question, Tasha Williams. And then I got another one. This is from Nursey Poo 2K2, and she says, I can't even set a reminder on the YouTube page for your event, and I am a subscriber. I will set a calendar reminder that I'll be able to join your live tonight. Well, Nursey Poo 2K2, are you in the chat right now? Holy crap. Y'all are awesome. I got a bunch of super chats. There's 80 people watching right now. I went on this massive rant tangent. I mean, I'm answering questions, and the questions I fucking love because they keep me on topic. And like I saw people were saying in the chat earlier, like, Sir Hunts, you're so high. Like, no, I promise, I'm tired. Like, Delta 8 HHC, look it up. That is 100% legal. And obviously, I'm not gonna not take that. I mean, I have 2 kids. Like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. Oh, there's probably people like, man, you're a bitch. But like, here's the thing. If you have raised children, right? And when I say raised, I mean, like, I have not slept next to my son, right? My daughter is mostly with her grandma, and that has been a godsend. Thank you, grandma, right? When I say it's hard, it really fucking is. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. When I do it, what I think is the right way, it's really hard, right? So thank everybody who's doing these super chats, and thank you for everybody who's watching. And if I self-promote myself a lot, or if you think I do, I'm sorry, but I'm not paid from some like random sponsor like Audible. Audible would actually be a really good sponsor because I've listened to like 3,600 hours of Audible, right? But I'm promoting myself. My patron, that's one thing, right? You get exclusive content, but the merchandising stuff, that's something where you get something in return. But anyway, shout out to all these super chats. Let me finish the patron stuff so I can go answer those before they disappear. So Nursey Poo K2K2 is basically saying she sees the shadow ban effect because she can't set a reminder on the YouTube page, and she is a subscriber. So that's ridiculous. So thank you. Hopefully you did notice because you set a calendar reminder on your phones. Thank you for that. And then the last couple of questions. This is from Pebbles 83, and they said, "Hi, Sir Hunts. Hey. Hopefully you're watching this right now. I have 2 questions. And this one says, and these were some of the later questions. So if my answers aren't as good, I'm sorry. I didn't have as much time to prep. Hi, Sir Hunts. I have 2 questions. One, during the dance, Gwaine Hightower was an officer of the City Watch and spy for his father, Otto Hightower, in the books. Do you think he will have a bigger role in season 2 since he was killed for being a traitor to the blacks in the books because they introduced him briefly during the tourney in season 1? So he's the dude that so initially, here's the thing. In the books, Gwaine is unhorsed by Kristen Cole. Kristen Cole's the one who unhorses him at the tourney. But in the TV show, they switched that. Daemon is the one who unhorses Gwaine Hightower, who is Alicent's little brother. So he does play a role. So in the books, Sir Otto appoints him as the commander of the Gold Cloaks, along with this dude named Luther Largent. And Luther Largent, most likely, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but Luther Largent is the dude who's yelling out all the crimes that these people are doing in the first episode of House of the Dragon. And they're like, raper, murderer, thief. The person doing that, I think, is Luther Largent. But anyway, Sir Otto puts his son Gawain in charge of the Gold Cloaks with Luther Largent, because what they just did after they committed treason and took over the city, right? In House of the Dragon, season 1, episode 10, they have to reassure that they are not going to, the Gold Cloaks are literally were started by Daemon under the command of Sir Otto, right? He reformed them. He made them who they are, rather, under Sir Otto's instruction. But Sir Otto knows that. So he puts his son Gawain there to sort of keep track and make sure the dude Luther Largent is staying loyal to the Green's cause. And what ends up happening is he ends up getting beheaded, right? He should be given a bigger role, because they made the thing about Alicent being alone at court and not having too many allies, and then her uncle shows up. Speaking of Alicent, how ridiculous is it that the actress who played the younger version, right, Emily Carey's being attacked on Twitter? That's so stupid. You guys made her want to leave Twitter. What the fuck is wrong with people? Anyway, but yeah, he could potentially answer your question. Will he be given a season role, a bigger role, because he was introduced in season 1? Yes. I think, well, maybe. There's going to be a massive cast introduced with the lads and the Riverlords, because a lot of the wars and battles are fought in the Riverlands. So you need to establish these characters early on. So maybe they just wanted to, he could be brought up, like I was getting at, because Alicent mentions how she needs more allies at court, but ultimately her son is the king. We're going to see how he's going to turn on her. I can't wait, because she was smacking him. Like, yeah, I don't even want to say that, because I think that might be what's getting me demonetized. If I say the R word too much, not retarded, not that word, which is like, I had that issue with my car, and it was a mechanical issue, and the mechanic came up to me and he's like, yeah, dude, your engine's retarded. I'm like, bro, what? What did you just say to me? He's like, yeah, your engine, the timing is retarded. So you need to make sure that you get that fixed right away. And I was like, all right, bet. So I felt okay saying it in that context, because that's a word used in that context. But the other word, R-A-P-E, I don't think that's okay to say. Aegon 2 did that. Yes, they didn't show it on screen. And I honestly think that was why it was so easy for me to not ignore that, but to understand that that's going to add different shades to his character. And you see what years of abuse made him become an abuser, right? But it didn't make me ignore that. It just made me want to feast visually more on a character that's like dark. You're not supposed to like for Game of Thrones, right? One of the best things about not just the TV show, but also the books, is shitty kings who are so maniacal and twisted. And Game of Thrones, we saw that with Joffrey. Joffrey was the best part about like the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. He was literally, you hate him, but he draws you. If he didn't exist in the show, it wouldn't be as enticing. And George knew that when he was writing his books. You make these characters that are f***ed up, and you read them, and when you're reading them, like me, when I'm specifically with Cersei's chapters, I'm like, why do I kind of relate to that? If somebody came around me and I was in her position, I would think the same thing. But he does that because he knows that's delectable for your mind to absorb and be like, why do I go to that dark place? Why do these facets of the human mind are fascinating, right? I'm trying to use big words here, but no, really, George loves exploring that part of your brain. And he loves writing those kinds of characters. And it makes you wonder what in his life influenced him to do that, right? I know things in my life that made me think the way that Cersei does, right? I've had some stuff that happened to me that made me think the way she does. So it's cool. And that's why he writes those characters like that. But that's why I can't wait to see Aegon in his relationship with Alicent, because she was so mean to him, right? Because he's a rapist. And she's like, you imbecile. God, that was my favorite scene. Not just in House of the Dragon, but also in Game of Thrones. It's so funny. He's like, do you love me? And she's like, you fucking, are you redacted? Like, literally, she goes, are you redacted, dude? Come on. You imbecile. It was so funny. But yeah, I can't wait to see how he sort of gets back at his mom, right? He's like, oh, mom, you did this to me. You see, you made me rape these women, mom. Oh, I said the word. Damn. That's crazy. You can't even say that on YouTube. But it's okay, because I'm making a lot of progress to taking the power back into my own hands. Second part of your question from Pebbles83. Thank you for your support. Nursey Pook 2K2. I forgot to say that from the last one where you were saying you couldn't get an alert. Pebbles83, the second part of your question is, do you think Daemon, right, Daemon Palehair, will have a bigger role? So this is similar to the first question. During the dance, since his mother was raising him to think he could be king, I wonder if we get to see his friendship with Aegon the Younger at the end of the series. All right, so the Daemon Palehair that we saw on the TV show, the person I thought was Daemon Palehair might not be Daemon Palehair. Maybe, like Daemon Palehair's mother is a whore, right? There's something in the time period in the dance, and it was the Moon of the Three Kings, I think, where basically this dude Tristan Truefire, who claims to be a bastard of Viserys, names himself king in the Red Keep, right? This is after Rhaenyra flees the city and goes back to Dragonstone, selling her father's crown only to have Aegon II waiting for her back at Dragonstone. So during this time, the Moon of the Three Kings, right? One of the kings is the dude Tristan Truefire, right? Who's this knight who says he's a bastard of Viserys, and he's like, I have a claim to the Iron Throne. So he gets dubbed by Sir Perkin the Flea. Then there's this other dude, Daemon Palehair, who's this. He plays a role later on. He becomes basically a friend to Aegon III during his regency, right? So this dude, Daemon Palehair, during this time of the Moon of the Three Kings, he's sitting the Iron Throne because he claims that he's the son of Aegon, or at least for the show, they're going to make it seem like he's a son, a bastard of Aegon II, who it's established early on, Aegon II was fighting his bastards in a fighting pit, right? So that little boy we saw with the silver hair were the Cargill twins, my buddies, Luke and Elliot Tittenser, right? When they look in the pit and you see that little boy, that's probably Daemon Palehair, right? We see that, and then he's going to get adopted by this whore who's going to raise him, and then he's going to be like, well, I have a claim to the Iron Throne because my father is Aegon II. So then he gets crowned on the Hill of Rainies, and then there's a king on the hill. All the three hills are besides the point in King's Landing, but there's Daemon Palehair, there's Tristan Truefire, the knight that says he's the son of Viserys, Daemon Palehair, the little boy whose mother is a whore, who does all these really progressive laws, and it's amazing, right? His mother, or his father, is Aegon II, and Aegon II is thought to be dead, right? He's hiding out on Dragonstone secretly thanks to Larry's clubfoot, right? And then the third, who the fuck is the third king? Huh. It's going to come to me. I'm going to keep my eyes closed so y'all know I'm not looking up the information. Who is the third king? Daemon Palehair, Tristan Truefire. Is it three because they say that his mother is the one who's writing all the laws? Oh, I gotta look this up. This is embarrassing. How the fuck did I forget? So the shepherd, right? Immediately, the shepherd is this dude who's basically setting up the storming of the dragon pit, which was set up early. The shepherd, I'd love the idea for him to be someone, because he's called a shepherd. He's a dragon shepherd. He's noted one of the details about his character that could make the person look like anyone, but he has to be missing a hand because he was, I think, scorned by the Targaryens, which is why he spends a bunch, like 3 days, daytime and nighttime, preaching against what's going on in the Red Keep, obviously during King's Landing, right? He preaches about what's going on, and he gets a massive crowd to form around him, and he's the third king. So you have Tristan Truefire, Daemon Palehair, right? Tristan Truefire is the bastard of Viserys, and then Daemon Palehair is the bastard of Aegon II, and then the third dude, the shepherd, is the one who has a massive crowd of people, and he's named the third king because he's basically got this huge following, causes the storming of the dragon pit, and then holds up in the remains of the dragon pit, right? So in short, that's basically what happens there. Dreamfire supposedly is the one who ultimately causes the most destruction because she freaks out, flies up, and causes the dome to collapse on itself and kills all the dragons and then all the people that are in there, except for the shepherd. The shepherd survives and continues preaching. He's ultimately burned when after Aegon II feeds Rhaenyra to his dragon, and he comes back and takes the city. Aegon II takes delight in burning the shepherd. So that'll be really dope to see. So he's the third king, right? So will Daemon Palehair, to answer your question, Pebbles83, will Daemon Palehair have a bigger role. Yes, I think Game and Palehair will have a bigger role in season 2. I can't wait for some of those events to happen on screen, but also because watching a dragon die, like I felt a lot watching the Red Wedding on screen. I felt a lot more reading it, but I felt the most when Viserion got shot with a motherfucking javelin toss from 500 yards away, mid-flight, took him out in the shoulder and just crashed into the frozen lake, and then was dragged up and used to fight Daenerys, right? That was terrible to watch on screen, and we have not seen, well, okay, we saw Erex and Lucerys die, but we didn't really see Erex until that episode. Some of these dragons like Caraxes and Vhagar and Sunfire, hopefully Sunfire, we need to see Sunfire, we're going to have a lot more of a connection to them than we had to Lucerys and Erex, so it's going to be nuts to see. But that wraps up the Patreon questions. Now I'm going to jump into the chat. Oh, shit. We got 80 people watching right now. All right. So let's see. Shout out to, there was the first super chat that I saw. Shout out to the North Bus Rimmer. Thank you, buddy. $10. Thank you. That is a pack of 32 diapers, size 4. Thank you, sir. I recently put out a video on the top 10 characters. Go subscribe to his channel, The Northwest Remember, here on YouTube. Click, I'm sure he's been dropping some of the links in the chat. I recently put out a video of the top 10 characters responsible for causing the Dance of Dragons. Curious who are your top 3 ranked characters to blame for the dance. Curious if your top 3 matches mine. Okay, well, I don't know your top 3, so let's see. My top 3 for who causes the dance, the friggin' Maestas. The reason why I say this is, and this is not something, so are we talking about for the TV show or for the books? I'll make it easier for myself, and I'll say for the TV show. Maybe there's most of the people watching this. Let's just say for the TV show, right? So for the TV show, right, from what we've seen, confirmed canon, Laurie's Clubfoot, definitely. He killed his father, right, Lionel, who... he's my number 1, honestly, aside from Alicent, because that's too easy. It's too easy. So Larry's number 1. He ultimately made that happen because when Larry's killed his father, Lionel, and Harwin, he removed him his hand, and then Sir Otto had to be brought back because Viserys is so old and so out of it, he doesn't have the energy to try to find it out and sort a new hand, and also he knows it would make Alicent, the woman he loves. Remember, the scenes we saw with him, aside from when she was younger and they were having sex together, Alicent and Viserys had one of the most healthiest relationships we've seen on screen once the age gap was closed when she got older, right? It was weird, obviously, when she was younger, but when she got older, she took care of him through his sickness, knew that his last wife died. She was forced into that situation by her father, but they both made the best of that situation. So that was going to be and is one of the healthiest relationships we've seen on screen. So it's just so easy for King Viserys to be like, oh, I'm going to make my wife happy and bring Otto back as hand. And that ultimately, because Alicent wanted to have someone close to her, right? More people at court that have her back, because Rhaenyra is a direct threat to her, at least through her eyes. And she clearly showed Larry's her feet, right? That move happened. So Larry's number 1. Number 2, this is easy as well, and this is kind of a scapegoat, but this was bound to happen. A similar situation happened with Maegor the Cruel when he was king, and he basically usurped the crown from Aenys' son Aegon. Aegon, the Aegon who never was. He would have been Aegon too, but he was never crowned, right? So that dance happened, and basically his dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, killed Quicksilver, right? Right? That was his dragon. I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because he wrote... Yeah. So the dance was bound to happen. So the fact that there are number 1 is obviously, like I just said, Larry's. Number 2 is the fact that there are so many Targaryens, so many dragons. It was... some situation was bound to occur. It just had to happen. You know what I mean? Like, either it would have been, if there were no dragons, it would have been a Blackfire rebellion, because the Targaryens are lusty lads and lusty women's, and they love to procreate. So there's just going to be a bunch of them. So that war, like the Blackfire rebellion, wipes out a bunch of Targaryens. So that would have happened if there were no dragons. But the fact that there's so many people with all these personalities, the dragons take on those personalities. Some of those dragons are bigger than other dragons. I hear my son crying. I got to go downstairs real quick. he okay? But yeah, so some of those dragons are bigger than other dragons. You got multiple personalities, right? Setting in. You have intermarrying of houses. So some Targaryens have more power, even though they're in a further away position to the Iron Throne. People get jealous. It was bound to happen. That was number 2. Number 3, I can't blame the Maesters for the TV show, so I have to come up with something on the spot. The fact that it's You're gonna try if I put you in there. What's wrong? Why are you so upset? Mommy piss you off? You don't want it? No. Why not? Okay, so the first one was okay, so I know the second one was Targaryens and Dragons. The first one was Larry's. The third one, it's gonna have to be something creative. I'm trying to let him calm down so I'm gonna take him back downstairs for the rest of the stream. I just want to let him calm down. He want to be up here. You want to play guitar for everybody? No, you don't? Why not? We've been practicing. I got to get you a little baby guitar, though, because those strings are hard as hell on your finger. So the third one is the environment, the setting, not the people, but the fact that Westeros is a feudal society and the Targaryens. So I'm blaming Westeros for the third one. The Targaryens usurped power from people. There had been a bunch of petty kings, but for the most part, every single person that Aegon the Conqueror took out and said, hey, I'm the king now. This is my house. When he did that, all those houses had thousands of years of history and wars. And there was a reason why there were 7 kingdoms. So the fact that Aegon had did that, and this was only 130 years after that, those people still members. And the world itself remembered. So there was going to be that kind of environment where the Targaryens felt like they need to establish more dominancy, right? This was before Dorne was brought in, so really it's only 6 kingdoms, right? But it was just bound to happen. So hopefully I answered your question, and thank you for all of your support, my dude. You're a dragon knight tier here, as well as you have your own YouTube channel. Please go subscribe to this man. Thank you for that super chat, buddy. And then I got one from Cheryl Lindsay. Mark, suck it up and watch interview. Oh, the interview with the vampire. What do you mean, suck it up? I haven't had the time to see it. I got a lot of stuff going on here. It's a little man. Also my daughter. But thank you for that super chat, Cheryl. And there was one from Jonathan GXX. Thank you for that. He says we need a window jacker and Larry the Foot Freak stickers. Dude, they're already on my let me see if I can't show you guys. They're on my Teespring store. I made the foot one already, but it wouldn't let me put window jacker up. I actually, and as proof, I sent Luke. Okay, you can't do that. Those notes are making me want to sing. Play the song again. I'll sing again. Play the song. Play it. Oh, you don't want to play it now? Okay, but yeah, I have those stickers up on my thing for $8. The foot one. And I had window jacker, obviously, because window jackers, that's going to be a huge I thought it would be really funny to make, but they said that there was some sort of content issue. The design I made, it was literally an eggplant with a medieval window and then a water emoji. And then underneath it, it said window jacker in the font that I use for my videos. That was the sticker for that one. And they wouldn't let me upload it. But for the other ones, like I said, I did a foot one. Let me try to pull up my store since it won't, it's weird. It like won't. Just let me view my store. All right, there we go. So now I should be able to share this. All right, so y'all should be able to see this. So there's a couple things. This is the foot sticker, right? So let me explain this. Hopefully y'all can see this. The foot sticker, right, is in the colors of How Strong, and How Strong is represented here by literally the arm that is strong, right? And then the hand, a member of How Strong is using his hand to jack off because of feet. That's basically what this sticker is. I thought it was really funny. And then also, like I said, the window jacker one is not up there yet. It wouldn't let me upload it, but this is the one I'm most proud of. I spent like probably an hour and a half making this design right here. I thought this was really cool. It's easy to tell. That's supposed to be a model of Caraxes. You can't actually use Caraxes shape for copyright issues. But I did it so that it's fire and blood, right? So you have a Roman looking house that's on fire, right? And then a drop of blood. But then I put the red bricks of the Red Keep behind Caraxes to represent when dragons are wheeling across the city. When Rhaenyra takes King's Landing at the end of season 2, which I'm hoping that's the timeline we get. That's the case. I'm really proud of this. Oh, yeah, and then on the backside, it says, I support Rhaenyra. But yeah, the sticker's already there. The foot sticker, my interpretation of it is already up there. I thought that was funny. Thank you for that super chat, man. The window jacker one, I'm going to try to redo it, redesign it so that hopefully they can let me put that up there because that was hilarious to me. He's literally just jack. I try to use that clip all the time in my videos. It's really funny. All right, so let's see. Lukey, are you trying to put on your shorts? His favorite thing to do is to have pants on and then put more pants on. Put more pants and more clothes on. It's this craziest thing. It really is. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be naked. When I was your age, I remember, because Daddy's got a really good memory, I would want to be as naked as possible. Yeah. You're like, I need to put more clothes on, please. Thank you. It's crazy. It's also thank you for that super chat, Jonathan GXX. Then we got another super chat from the Northwest. Remember, again, never forget, Aegon 2 threw more kids out the window than Jamie ever did. Did you just come up with that? Because you need to be a comedy writer. That's hilarious, dude. Or did you see that? So that is hilarious. That's really funny. It's true, though. It really is. You agree with that, Breanne? What's up, girl? Yes, I agree with that. Literally, you just saw me laugh out loud. That's funny, dude. That's hilarious. Like I'm doing like the casual Delta 8 THC sort of reaction, whereas like if you go to see a comedy show, you don't want to get too stoned on that substance because it makes you overanalyze the comedy and you're like, ha ha ha, that's an interesting joke. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. Shane made a really good point of pointing that out. You want to actually kind of have a drink because that'll loosen you up and you don't over question people's logic when they're trying to make jokes. That was hilarious. That's a really solid joke, my dude. Thank you for that super chat as well. Never forget Aegon 2 threw more kids out the window than Jamie ever did. And what he means is Aegon 2 is standing in a window, right? And then he's jacking off. So then when the sperm releases from the tip of his penis, this video is already demonetized. When that happens, it's landing on people and he's releasing kids from the window more than Jamie ever did. Jamie was also in episode 1, right? And now that I actually rewatched the inside the episode footage, you could see Jamie clear as fucking day, but he was one of the Gold Plug members. Luke, let's take off your swim trunks here. All right, I'm going to go take him back downstairs since he's chilling, and then we're going to keep rocking. Yeah. All right. It looks like I'm in the fiery infernos of the Mount Chasm. The fiery chasms of Mount Doom. Thank you for that super chat, Northwest. Remember, let's see. I'm just checking to see if there's any more that I missed. My God, finally caught alive. Thank you. Yep. Who's from Boston? What's up, Fallen Marie? Hey. Not yet. Mainly because they're choking hazards. The Targaryen babes must not have been very mouthy. And for the most part, you hear how they're like every other Targaryen baby is not like a normal baby. Some of them are born healthy, strapping, and handsome, and then they die tragic deaths. But the ones that are born sickly live the longest. It's crazy. Well, longer, but still ultimately very short. But no, not yet. I promise, listen to Crux Shadow's Winterborn. Your inspiration will flow. What is that? A song or something? Your top three, Northwest, remember, Viserys, Larry's, Otto Hightower. So we have some similar ones with Larry's. Do you think Mushroom will be seen more than what we saw in season 1? I don't. If Condal says the Indian fellow playing the drum, Indian like the continent India, right, or the subcontinent India, not Native American. And there's actually some Native American people who actually prefer to be called Native American Indian. So I don't even know what the correct turn of phrase is these days. But what I can say is that I have a lot more leeway because I'm black. I'm just kidding. If Condal says that dude playing the drums at Rhaenyra's wedding was Mushroom, I might have to leave a salty comment on your podcast if there was a way to leave a comment on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, because that's how I listen to it. Go follow Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. You get a direct commentary from the creator of this series. And like everybody gives credit to a lot of, I love giving credit to the directors because they obviously envision my favorite episodes. But Condal, because he doesn't have a social media, I feel like doesn't get enough credit because a lot of this series, a lot of people's favorite parts of it are all thanks to that man texting with George R. Martin back and forth. Like the whole thing is thanks to George. So I feel like I give him plenty of thanks. But Condal, if you say that guy was Mushroom, I'll smack you. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. What the hell? I'll smack anybody. I don't give a shit. Bitch. No. Yeah, no, but that would be severely disappointing. That was like for 2 seconds. Don't even say that was Mushroom. Just say he was in the background and he was so fast you didn't hear him. There was also people, myself included, that thought the guy that was playing Under the Dragon's Eye, which if you play that back and you go listen to the clip from the episode, I sound just like that dude. I thought that was Mushroom because Mushroom is a fool, but he was also very entertaining. He would sing songs. That's what the drummer guy was doing, right? But he was also kind of in the background, not really entertaining anyone. No one mentioned him. No one said, I'm feeling really sad right now. Can I please see Mushroom? No one said anything like that. So if that was actually Mushroom, I'll be a little bit disappointed. Just a little bit. So I get to answer. I'm pretty sure that answered your question. I hope they give him a speaking role in season 2. Hi. How about the pictures of Rhaenyra's baby covered in scales and the stuff from the VFX artist? Dragon Baby confirmed. It was hard to tell during the episode. It was. And isn't there a side effect of when babies are born early where they have these sort of like scales or they have like really dry skin that appears scaly, right? That's what I always thought. Aside from like the art that you see of literally a baby with actual dragon skin, right? That's what I always thought George was talking about ever since I found that out like a year ago, right? So there's this really sad disease where babies' eyelids are missing or something, or his eyes are born inside out. It's a crazy disease. The baby doesn't have a heart or something. And when that happens, the baby's skin has these scales that look reptilian, and they also have a tail. So that's what I thought that was. Is that not what that was? Just an artist VFX version of it? Correct me in the chat. I don't know. Wouldn't you see Mushroom at least at a glance of him in major scenes? Right. Also, he's got a giant dick. I feel like we'd see his dick on screen. But get back to this. What do you mean by that, Breanne? How about you're just saying like what's up with them? I thought that I still don't think that might, maybe they are, maybe they're doing the book canon thing where Mushroom said it was he carried it out to the funeral pyre himself, which would actually so be Mushroom if that's true, because like you see Rhaenyra does it in the episode, and like Mushroom, his character, his personality, a lot of the story that we hear is from his perspective, at least the fun parts of Fire and Blood, right? You kind of feel like you get to know him as a POV almost, right? But not really, because you don't know his actual internal monologue like you do with the POV books. But that would be something that he would lie about and say, oh yeah, I took the baby out there my damn self. So let me tell you, it had dragon scales and a little baby dragon tail. Rhaenyra was the one who did it. Makes a lot more sense. So that was another like really props to Kondo kind of thing. But yeah. So please let me know in the chat what you mean by that. It looks like it has a horn kind of form. Yeah, it does. It does. It does. But I also think that, like I said, that's that. I don't know the name of that disease, but there's some sort of really crazy disease where a baby's eyelids are born like inside out and stuff. We will think yes. And that dude, the actor I'm talking about singing that song, Under the Dragon's Eye, that dude is like 5'4". He's like Joe Rogan's height. Like the exact same height as Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan should play Mushroom. Fan cast Blood and Cheese in the chat right now. Who do you think Blood and Cheese should be? I say Blood and Cheese should be Joe Rogan and Ari Shaffir. No. Let's be funnier. Joe Rogan and Shane Gillis. That would be even hilarious, because Shane Gillis is like the size of an actual person. You're like 6 foot, like around my height, right? I think Shane is actually like 6'4" or something, but Joe Rogan's like 5'4". So he'd be a perfect rat catcher, because he'd be like, hey, where the rat's at? I'm going to smash him with my Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm going to put it right in the triangle hole, armbar, and kick it across the room. You got to see these kicks. Check out these spin kicks. That's who I fan cast Blood and Cheese as. And I think it would be perfect, and no one would even know, because they both have acting experience. They'd get lost in the role. Who do y'all think should be fan cast Sir Duncan the Tall? No. Fan cast Blood and Cheese. Joe Rogan is not 5'9". What are you talking about? I'm 5'10". Joe Rogan is 5'4". But yes, this is true. Every shorter character we see on the show, we're gonna be like, is that Mushroom? Brad Williams, isn't he a comic? He's pretty funny. Either him or there's this other dude. There's one guy that everybody says, not Warwick Davis, I think is his name. Not him. But there's this other guy who played a dwarf on Vikings, right? Who looked like Mushroom, because he was in, medieval gear. It was Viking. It was the TV show Vikings. He had like a long curly hair, but he had like a bigger forehead and stuff. He would have been the perfect dude to play Mushroom. But I don't think they're going to do that. You should be one of the background actors. Yes. I wish. Like the guy in the doc about making season 8. There's the dude who was in like almost he played like a Stark soldier in every scene. I think he lives over there, and I think they're entitled, like they have to, for filming over there, they have to like offer people work, obviously because they're using the resources and stuff of wherever they're filming at long term. So I think they're able, if you live over there, it's probably a lot easier to get onto the show. Like I live, there's nowhere they would film anywhere near where I live at. So it would be a lot harder for me to, get on the show. Like something crazy would have to happen. Like one of the directors from the show would have to start following me on Instagram, or maybe several of the actors would have to viewed my story, or maybe 2 of the big actors on the show, twins, would have had to have followed me on Instagram or something crazy like that. Or maybe even Aegon 2 would have had to share my Instagram post, or something crazy like that would happen for me to get it. Something like that would have to happen for me to get a background role in the show. Something like that. I mean, not that any of that stuff has happened. I mean, it has, but I'm just saying The guy who plays Vision in Marvel to be for Blood and Cheese. Benedict Cumbersnatch? No, I'm just kidding. I know it's not his name, but yeah, I know you're talking about. Paul Bettany? No. I'm sorry. That's your fan cast. I didn't mean to say no, like that was stupid. No, that's a good one. I'd see that. Random. I always kind of pictured him if he were to play anybody. If they hadn't made the main Game of Thrones TV show, I could have seen Paul Bettany being a good someone playing like a priestly role. Maybe that's just because I remember Paul Bettany from the movie Priest, where he played a vampire hunting priest and he wore clothes of who I'm thinking of. That's probably why. So that was stupid. Never mind. But yeah, Paul, that's a good one. Fingers crossed. I know, right? It's just so crazy. But let me not even say that, because I think they only did that because they know that I'm fans of the show and they appreciate that fans of the show are that big of fans as someone like me. Like, that's what the twins have told me, and that's what the director told me. So that's cool. It's not because they want to get me on the show. I'm pretty sure if it was easy for them to do, they would do it, but it's probably not. It's probably like, really, you probably have to do a bunch of stuff, like have some of the actors share some of your posts on their Instagram story, or maybe be a really big fan of the show for years, put a lot of time and dedication in the show, be naturally funny, be able to do impressions on the spot, a lot of proper accents, a lot different types of accents as well, like Jon Snow mostly, like a Northernman, like Ari. Maybe that's why I've been growing out my hair and not shaving my face for 7 years. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop. It's funny. Oh yeah, he was in Knight's Tale. Yeah, that movie. I saw it when it first came out as a kid, but I didn't appreciate it because I was like into medieval stuff. Obviously, Lord of the Rings was out around then, but I didn't realize how funny that movie was until I watched it now. The first half of that movie is pretty hilarious. It kind of falls apart like most movies. They don't age well. But the first half of that movie is genuinely funny, and I appreciated how awesome and, in my opinion, accurate the costumes were. That blew me away. I was like, dude, this came out in 2000, and this is like Game of Thrones level costumes and like armor and jousting. It was dope. What's up? What's up? Oh yeah, now's a good time to do an actual shout out to everybody who's watching this live, because there's 80 people watching, and when I did it last time, there was a lot less. Let's see. There's a notification for Patreon. Have that window open. Let's see. Why is the YouTube chat not still popped out? That's so weird. I have all these different tabs open, but that one tab, well, not all these different tabs. It was 3, but 3 tabs, all of them Chrome tabs, like eating up the memory on my computer. That's crazy. One Chrome tab, I guess, is like 500 megabytes of RAM just to exist. You're not even doing anything. The window's just open. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick shout out, and then I'm gonna run over the leaks again, because I feel like everybody that's watching this now didn't see any of those, and the leaks are mostly just for fun. So participants, let's see, if you're in the chat right now, please type so that way I can give you a shout out to your username. All right, so shout out to Breanne Johnson, Cheryl Lindsay, Dennis Sorensen. What's up, buddy? What's up, Breanne Johnson? Both of y'all are big time supporters. Cheryl Lindsay as well. Thank you all so much. Gabrielle Orlana, Jay, John Haymaker, John Rod, Lopez Land, Knuckles, Shelly Loves 97, The North Must Remember, Toby Blackskin, Aaron Avina. And I think that's it. That's all that's typing right now. I know there's more people watching, but those are the only people that are typing right now. Agnes Hopper, Tack CJM, the North Must Remember. Oh yeah, also I did a giveaway the last live stream that I did, and the first giveaway winner was someone who was a patron member of mine and then also donated to my GoFundMe. So then I did a second giveaway because I was like, that's not fair. Obviously, it's random. I said pick a number 1 through 100. The first person that said that number in the chat, how it refreshes, I picked that person. Just so happened that, like I said, it was that. So I did a second giveaway. That one was for a Ramsey Bolton drawing that I bought at a convention called Con of Thrones in 2018, right? And Claudia wanted me to, she's the winner. She wanted me to sign it. I'm sorry. The artist signed it, though. The person who actually made that signed it. So she got that already, right? And then because I knew that, or because I knew the fact that it would seem unfair, so I picked another person. The second person who got the next number that I picked, literally patron of mine. So then I did a third one, right? And that one was for a digital drawing that I only give access to my patrons. So I was like, that's how that went away. It was actually 4 winners because 2 of those people said the number at the same time. So I messaged them and sent them that drawing through the mail. But Rafael, the actual second winner who got the actual drawing that I drew myself, it was hard for me to send that away because I drew that shit myself. So that was dope. And he said he's going to get a frame. So that's dope. Also shared pictures of them in my Instagram story and on Twitter. Go follow me on those 2 platforms as well, please, if you can. If you have a social media account on there, it really helps me out. If I could have as broad a reach as possible when I'm trying to promote my stuff and get out there. All right. So shout out to everybody who's watching this live and then also to everyone who's watching this afterwards. Let's do the leaks real quick. So there's this one leak where this idiot says Laenor comes back with the bastard son and dies before he can claim Sea Smoke. So that bastard son, who becomes Adam of Hall, claims Sea Smoke, and the story remains in canon while giving Laenor a much more satisfying death. In the video, I mentioned how the person said that Laenor supposedly dies by a Mirror's crossbow bolt to the neck, and in canon, that happens to Balon the Heir. Who is the father of Daemon and Viserys. So, and the crossbow bolt wasn't even meant to hit Balon. It was meant to hit the dude next to him. So, anyway, if that happens, whatever. Like, that's not true. It's nonsense. And then another person says, and this would be really fun if they did it. So I kind of hope it's true, but I know it's bullshit. Daemon and Alicent flashback sex scene. Potentially, he is Aemon's father. Daeron is supposedly going to be played by Oscar Novak, the kid who played the younger version of the Northman. And then we have Nettles will be shown stealing a sheep from a shepherd. And I feel like, well, you're just filling in the blank from the story. Like, obviously, it's something like that's probably going to happen because Nettles wasn't a whore. She probably had to steal the sheep. And then I saw someone commented on my videos and goes, "Are there any farms on Dragonstone?" No, but they had to eat. There's a fishing village on Dragonstone, right? People trade there. There's probably some shepherds. Oh yeah, that's what made me think of what the terrain was like around Valeria's very lush landscape. There was, although to be fair, 14 active volcanoes. Probably not the most best place to live, but the Valyrian Freehold was the greatest civilization in known memory. So, for a World of Ice and Fire, yeah, the area around it was probably pretty nice. Oh yeah, so Dragonstone it has the Dragon Mount, which is an active volcano. The landscape around Dragonstone is rocky. You can't really grow stuff, but you could have, sheep. They don't need that much stuff. You could probably grow some grass and get what you need through trade to sustain sheep. Canonically, you have to, because that's how Nettles stole Sheepstealer, was feeding his sheep every day until Sheepstealer became close to its presence. So the leaker said, "Oh yeah, we're going to see a scene where Nettles is stealing a sheep, and that'll be the one scene we see of her until later on when they do the dragon seed scene." So anyway, those are all mentioned in great detail in those videos that I have linked down below in the description. This one was something that I sort of skipped over, and I feel like the person is playing on the fact that the Cargill twins follow me. But they said that the Cargill twins are going to duel for 13 minutes. And it's going to be a straight out fight scene, and there's not going to be any cuts, and it's not just a duel, like a traditional duel. It's going to be like all out. I believe that, but I think the person sent me that because they know the Cargill twins follow me, the actors who play the Cargill twins, Eric and Ellie. what the fuck am I saying, man? Elliot Luke Tittensor, right? They follow me on Instagram. So the person knew that and probably sent me that information. And I was like, hey, that sounds fun. Let me just include that in the video. So that's not something that I mentioned in those videos. This was new. I was going through my DMs on Twitter. Speaking of which, go follow me at _hunts. But the person said the fight scene was going to be miraculous. And we've all been saying that for a while, ever since we saw the Cargill twin introduced that early into the TV show. It's going to be this fantastic brawl. I even mentioned that specifically in my episode 8 breakdown, where I was like, look, if you'll notice in the background, we already see the Cargill twins dueling. Now, canonically in the books, Eric Cargill, the actor who's playing him, is known as Elliot Tittensor, right? They're both of the twins are really famous. I think they're on the UK version of this show called Shameless, right? So they've got some experience, but acting, but they're setting it up early because it's going to be, it's a pretty crazy event. Like we saw, they're brothers. Canonically, Eric Cargill is the dude who replaces Sir Harwin Strong when Sir Harwin Strong is sent back to Harrenhal because the rumors of him sleeping with Rhaenyra are just getting out of control. So Harwin is sent away from court, right? And when that happens, Eric Cargill is the one who goes back with Rhaenyra to Dragonstone and becomes her shield. So we see them dueling in the background when the younger versions of Jacaerys and Lucerys are in King's Landing, when we have, Viserys' last episode, the dinner, the scene where he walks up the stairs. In that episode, we see them in the background fighting. And then also, if you notice, every time we see their swords, they've got these badass fucking knuckle buster duckers. Switching around word. Knuckle dusters on their swords. And I ain't never seen nothing like that in Game of Thrones. I've seen weapons like that obviously before, right, on different shows and in real life, but not on Game of Thrones. And these two dudes do jujitsu, right? So it's going to be a really dope scene. The person who follows me, the person who sent me that information knows that they just wanted to get me excited about that. And that was cool. There's nothing wrong with that because that scene will probably be really, really intense. It's mentioned, there's multiple versions of the duel in canon. One of the versions is that they spent like a few minutes fighting and ultimately dealt each other mortal blows within like a few, Eric attacks Eric, and when like that, Eric attacks Eric. One of them attacks the other one, and he deals a death blow. But as Eric is dying, he stabs Eric in the gut, so they both die right there, holding each other's arms. That's one of the versions. Another version is that they fought for the better part of several hours, and the duel took place over the entirety of Dragonstone. So what happens is the Cargill twins get sent. Eric gets sent to Dragonstone via Sir Otto to go and kill Rhaenyra. And just sort of kind of in the war. And everyone who sees the twins, and it's mentioned, Alicent can't even tell them apart. Like we see a scene where Alicent doesn't even know which one of the Cargill twins she's talking to, right? That's a whole thing. So when they sneak into Dragonstone, right, the idea is that hopefully he won't run into his brother and he'll be able to easily sneak into Rhaenyra's chamber, being her sworn shield, and kill her. That doesn't happen. Eric runs into him and they fight. So one of the versions is that, they kill each other quickly, die in each other's arms. Another version is that they fight for a really long time. And that's the version this person who sent me that information, which is complete bullshit on Twitter, told me is fantasizing by saying like, oh yeah, it's going to be a 12-minute duel and there's going to be straight fights and no cuts and they're going to be brawling and doing jujitsu and stuff. But yeah, so it's just fun. It's fun to talk about. We got 2 years. And then, we got... every episode will have a dragon scene. Completely true. It's got to be true. If not every episode, every other episode. Not a fight scene, but just someone will be riding a dragon in every episode. We're going to see a dragon in the air, a dragon rider just landing, multiple dragons in the background when two people are talking, dragons flying at the sky at the same time. Like there's going to be I can't wait, right? Then also the budget. It's probably going to be around 20 million per episode. And then the last one, oh no, that's it. I already covered all of them. That's it. Let's jump in the chat. Why is this show just making the best case for Aemon to be king? Dragon power, mental fortitude, secret incest kids, and it cool. Well, when you boil it down to that, he doesn't sound as badass as this mystical warrior who trained under the tutelage of Cole, is ultimately now a better fighter than Cole, because the last time we saw him and Cole fighting, he bested Cole, right? Also, he doesn't fight, and I don't give a shit about tyrannies, right? He's a badass dude. Ewan Mitchell has this mystique where he's like, the actors even talk about it when he gets in character. He's just like, what the hell just happened? This nice guy turned into this asshole. You know what I mean? Like the dude, Harry Collette, who plays Jacaerys, said that he's got a punchable face or something like that, right? So like when he gets into character. So it's just, when you boil it down to those, you make him sound like a lame-o, but that's just not the case. North must remember. Oh, you're talking to him. Sorry about that. Wait, what'd you say? My son is an author of fantasy horror. He has a story in an anthology of short stories coming out on the 29th. I'd love to send copies to you and Mark. I'm actually working on getting a P.O. box. For the longest, I thought, because specifically, I only thought about getting a P.O. box when someone says, hey, I want to send you something. So then I go to look it up, and at multiple different times when I've looked it up, the items that people want to send me are bigger than whatever the smallest P.O. box is. So I always assume, I got to get the bigger one. The bigger one is like double the price of the smaller one. So then I'm like, I don't have it in my budget right now. My income is from YouTube and anything I make off of the ad revenue, right? So I'd be like, okay, well, I can't do that right now. And then I just put it off. And then obviously the person who wanted to send me something gets offended because I just never bring it up again. But I looked into it, and apparently you can get the smallest P.O. box, right? And even if the item is too big to fit into that, they still will hold it at the physical location of the P.O. box. So I'm going to be getting one of those when I get paid from YouTube, and I get paid from YouTube usually on the 21st, but a lot of times it's up to a week after that. So you don't really know. It's in between. It's just sometime after the 21st. And if the 21st falls on a holiday or on the weekend, then it starts from whenever the next business day would be. So that's another reason why YouTube is really stressful, is you honestly don't know when your money's coming in. It could happen in between 1 and like up to, I think they say allow up to 8 business days. And it's only happened a few times, but there's definitely times where your money doesn't show up and it gets cycled into the next payment. So you go 2 months without YouTube ad revenue. It's insane. On top of demonetization, not knowing if your video is going to do well, even though you put the same amount of energy and effort in 6 hours into it, right? It's nuts. But it's also allows you to, if you do it the right way, or if YouTube thinks you're good enough, you can do stuff like raise your kids from home, which is an amazing thing that most people never get the opportunity to do. So all of my bitching aside, that's something that I'm still able to at least do these past couple of months. So that's awesome. But yeah, once I get that set up, I would love to have a copy of that. Breanne Johnson says, Cheryl Lindsay, Breanne, for the copy of your son's book. Breanne Johnson says, how about the pics of Rainier? Wait, I already said that. I'm way behind on the super chats. Let me click new comments. It's the streaming software. It doesn't update the comments. Fellow Marie says, I just wonder if they're really making the Jon Snow show. How would they go about releasing that in between House of the Dragon season? So apparently Casey Bloys, to answer your question, Casey Bloys, the programming director for HBO, said that they're not going to release anything in between House of the Dragon season 1 and 2. Obviously, that could change. For the most part, that dude's been right. I would love it if we got Jon Snow show next year. We're going to find out where they are at in the process. It's already been greenlit. Jon Snow, Kit Harington said, I know nothing, but Emilia Clarke confirmed it. George R.R. Martin has talked about it several times. It was just never officially announced as one of the shows. But you could argue from another standpoint that HBO has officially confirmed it because they said there's multiple shows that are in the process. So I feel like the Jon Snow show probably started in the process, and Kit is supposed to be a showrunner. Hopefully Miguel Sapochnik left House of the Dragon to be a showrunner on that because he's really close with Kit. They spent years making the best Game of Thrones episodes ever, like Battle of the Bastards, right? So if they do it, I thought maybe if they had been working on it longer, they could release it next year, but apparently that's not the case. They're not going to do that. So ideally, 2024 may be the year, and we're going to know about it at the Game of Thrones convention. I'm not going to be able to go there myself, but the news and all that stuff that they release, all the information that comes out will be public immediately because people are going to start tweeting it. And then we'll know, hey, this is where the Jon Snow show is at in the green lighting process? Have they cast people? Are they bringing in book characters? What's going to be the premise of this show? It's obviously not going to be a flashback. It should be a continual timeline. One of the best ways to, I don't even like this word, but soft retcon some of the hatred or some of the writing choices and decisions that they made for season 8 is to literally just focus on Jon Snow for a solid season and add in characters that were left out from the books. Maybe not the exact name, but just there's so many different characters that were left out entirely whose arcs were specific to them that could easily be manipulated and brought in for a Jon Snow show to just give Jon's character a better ending and then add in other characters like Daenerys. Fire's coming. I thought a really weak and cheesy, I thought about it for maybe 2 minutes, would be, oh, Jon Snow has a son. That son has Targaryen features, perhaps, right? Doesn't have to, but Jon has to bring him down south because Jon is going to be the regent for his heir. Breanne is either just realizes that the kingdom needs, to have a king that's going to be able to further the line. Bran's not going to live forever. He's not connected to the weirwood tree. He doesn't have all the weirwood roots in him, keeping him alive. He's not eating. He's a cannibal. Bloodraven is a cannibal, right? Pretty much. There's like piles of human skulls and bones all over his cave. So he just eats meat, sweet meat. But that gives him the ability to green seed. But Breanne doesn't have that keeping him alive. So there's going to be an heir. It'd be really easy. If you read Song of Ice and Fire, you realize the one thing, and this is why I immediately thought of it, is like, oh, it's so easy. Dude, it's 7 kingdoms, right? But one king. This king is a Stark. There's never been a Stark king to rule the entirety of Westeros. That alone is enough for war. Andals don't like first men. They've been warring for centuries. To the point where, like, it's an insult for a first man to be called an Andal. That happens to Jorah, right? And then also, it's a big deal when their houses intermarry the blood, and then also when they separated, when the Northmen went up, when the first men went up north, right, and the Andals stayed down south. There's only 1 or 2 houses or 3 houses below the neck of the north that still worship the old god. So it's a really big deal to keep their blood separate. So you got this northern king who can't make no babies, and so far has shown no interest in trying to figure out how to further the line past him. That's enough to cause a war alone. Well, Jon Snow's got to come back down south, help his brother conduct the war. King's Landing is under siege. Breanne can't really do nothing because there's no eagles. There's no direwolf pack around for him to warg. There's no dragon for him to warg. So there's a Jon Snow show. Hopefully one of those things they picked up on immediately, because if they really thought about it, and if whoever is involved with processing the story, maybe Kit Harington himself, hopefully if you just read the books, that's the safest thing to do. You'll come up with a million ideas. You can keep Song of Ice and Fire going for 25 years. Literally 25. If you tell the story, there 25 years of content without running out of, if George puts out Winds of Winter, imagine how much even more content you could come up with. And it depends on who's running it, how you do it. And obviously you could debate me a million times over, but for the most part, Yep, P.O. Box. Have a great night, Donna Frank. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I see a bunch of people are starting to leave. I'm sorry. I've been going for almost 2 hours, but there's 100 people watching me, and my last couple live streams haven't been, I haven't had this many people eyes on me because I've been doing it at that weird time. So the next one will be Sunday night at 9. Everybody, I'm going to run a poll on my Patreon, who's members over there, remind me to do that, because I've been working on like a bunch of different episodes for my Patreon. But like I said, I'm still ultimately trying to decide how I'm going to go forward here on YouTube if the algorithm keeps treating my videos the way it does. Grey Worm versus Jon Trial by Combat. I wanted that to happen in season 8. I couldn't believe, like, if you were watching me back then, man, you seen how mad I was that they didn't do that in my, basically when I was doing the same thing I do now, the live stream after the episode, I went off. I was like, how did they not have my boy Grey Worm is just looking at Jon Snow's long ass beard? Yes, we can do a bunch of stuff. I love when you talk about what's going to happen and could happen in the future. See, me too. It's fun. It's fun to predict too. Also, now that we know the show is going to diverge, obviously it's an adaptation, but ultimately they try to stay as faithful as possible. When you diverge, make it good enough to diverge. Don't just diverge from the source material for no reason, for a spectacle. That's just foolish, because there is that, if you look deep enough in the books, there's enough to remain in canon and do a spectacle, if you will, because there's 3 different versions of the story. You just have to actually read the story you're making the show of, whoever, in whatever hypothetical situation is. That happens a lot. I see the articles all the time where writers for certain projects never really had a love, Witcher being a prime example. The showrunner for that never really had, the rumors are she never really had a love for the source material and couldn't wait to change it. And that's why Henry Cavill was like, okay, well, that's enough of that. I'm out of here. Right. So, but yeah, sorry, all that off of your comment. Sorry. NFTs. I don't think so. I'll stay away from that. I don't even know what that stands for. Non-fungible token. Okay, so I'm lying. I do know what that stands for, but I don't. Yeah, I'll probably never do anything like that. The merch store, I think, is a good thing. All of the stuff I priced so that I would literally not make more than $10. So I think the most I would make is if you bought the hoodie, which is $42. I think I make $10 off of that, and that's the most. Everything else is between $5 and $10, less than $10. So the sticker, I think I make $4. The mug, it's for $16. I think I make $3. The t-shirts are $26. I think I make $6. So all that stuff is like, it is expensive for merch. That's why I try to make it as cheap as possible. Like, Teespring tells you to market what most people do, and most, like, what other creators that sell on Teespring do, and like they'll sell a t-shirt for like $31.99 or whatever. At least that's what Teespring tells you. I don't know any other YouTubers that do that, but if they sell it for $31.99, they'll make like $10 a shirt, and I feel like that might be a little bit too much for people that are watching. So that's, yeah, I feel like that, instead of crazy things like NFTs or just constantly doing giveaways to promote traffic. Like, a giveaway is a good thing to do, and I'm going to try to do those at least once a month. But ultimately, when you do those too often, people start looking forward to that, and then if you don't do them, they get disappointed. So that's why I hadn't done a giveaway in months, probably over a year. And when I did it live, and I did it to 3 different people to overdo it, so that way it sort of makes up for me not having done it in a while, but also it's like a surprise thing. Like, you don't know whenever I'll do something like that. I don't want to just do it to be like, hey, let me drive traffic to my channel. I hopefully want to be engaging and answering as many comments as possible, and like uploading as much as the algorithm lets me. Like, I literally have 8 videos banked that I can't upload, because if I do, they'll get 1,000 views, and that's just not fair to myself, because that's 40 plus hours worth of work I'm making. Like, when you edit a video, you do it, at least my videos, I can't speak for anybody else. When I edit my videos, to edit literally 1 minute of those videos, at least a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, it takes me 30 minutes to an hour to do, because I'm switching up the entirety of what you're looking at every 5 seconds. So my rule is I try not to have anything that looks the exact same on screen in my videos for more than 5 seconds. And when you do that, it's tedious. I have a passion for it, but that's what I mean when I say, oh, my hard work energy. Because, yeah, I'm sitting my fat ass down at a computer and I'm editing the video. But it's work. It's tedious work. But that's, so I don't even, sorry. The giveaway thing, that's what I was doing that for. Seeing if there's any more good talking points in the chat. Cheryl Lindsay said 95 people watching and only 35 likes. Unacceptable. Yes, please stop liking this video. Please. I've been doing so much. So much like promotion during answering all these questions and stuff. I haven't even thought to do that. Please stop liking this video. Like goal is going to be 420. Oh, and you sent a super chat saying the same thing. Thank you, Cheryl Lindsay. Like the video, people. Please like the video, please. Also, I look forward to getting that book. If it's fantasy, and honestly, if someone sends me something and it's a book, I'm way more inclined. or just anything in general, like these blankets. You can't see because my green screen's up. Let me see if I can wave my hand over here. But these blankets right here and my gaming chair downstairs and that blanket over there, if you watch my regular videos, you know what I'm talking about. Those were all sent to me by this woman, Nancy. She's also the longest patron on Patreon I've ever had. Her and this woman named Lynn Shaw. They've been the most supportive over since I started, right? And I try to, like with Lynn, I hope Lynn's okay. I haven't talked to her in years, but with Nancy, I try to talk to her. I message her all the time and stuff. And like, it's mainly also with Nancy. When I met her in person, she had me sign her World of Ice and Fire book. And I was like, Nancy, this book costs like $60 and you want me to sign it. And that was in 2017. And I had like probably 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. And this lady was so fucking nice that she wanted me to sign her book because she was a fan. I hate saying that word because I'm not famous. Famous people have fans. I'm not famous. I do YouTube videos. People that like my stuff, she had me sign the book. She had, it was awesome. So that, you know, I was just saying, I look forward to that book. Cheryl Lindsay. Thank you for that. Do you think it's possible the GOT writers combine John's character with Aegon, so possibly not Fig? No. That would be, you gotta understand, another claimant to the throne would be the ultimate rekindling of, okay, they're going to do that. That's a 3-season Jon Snow show easily. The first season, Jon Snow finding out the news. We adjust to what his life is up north. Second season, he's in King's Landing dealing with the politics. War breaks out. Third season, a new claimant enters the game, and then it just takes on its whole new thing. But if you do 10-episode seasons, you tell George's story the rest of the way. You can add all of these other characters and just say, oh, they were doing this, or oh, they were doing that, right? So with Illyrio Mopatis, early on, we see him, right? And then pretty much after Daenerys leaves, so in the books, Illyrio sends her ships, and then ultimately when Daenerys leaves Meereen with the new Khalasar that she acquires in Vos Dothrek, you know, Drogon flew out into the Red Waste, not listening. Ultimately, when she gets that army and goes back, she will probably strike a deal with Illyrio to use his ships to get across the Narrow Sea and make a deal with him. But for the TV show, he was never... if I'm not mistaken, you know, Arya listens to his conversation with Varys, but when Varys and Tyrion get to, you know, where they're going and then sort of split up, you know, Tyrion gets sold into slavery or whatever with Jorah, right? That was it. That was the last we heard of him. So Illyrio could be brought in, and the reason why the show, at least they could say, the reason why he wasn't brought in is because he's been keeping this secret heir, you know, who is Rhaegar's son. Rhaegar's son with, you know, he obviously has Jon Snow with Lyanna Stark, but he had another wife at that time, right? Arya Martell of Dorne. She, basically, their children, one of them, Aegon, the first one that he has. So Rhaegar has 2 children that he names Aegon, but supposedly he gets his head dashed into the wall and he dies by the mountain. The Hound's brother does this, right? So according to Varys sneaks that baby, the actual baby Aegon, Rhaegar's actual child, right, his heir, across the Narrow, who has a stronger claim than Daenerys because, well, technically in Westeros, they've already established by the Great Council 101 AC, it's mentioned that a female can never inherit the Iron Throne, nor her male heirs through her line, which is ultimately what Rhaenyra is doing. That is established in Westeros. It's established at the Great Council of 101 AC. It's established a few times in Jaehaerys' reign. It's ultimately established when Maegor has his throne taken via Jaehaerys, right? Because Maegor is a second son, but also Aenys, his brother, who's Aegon the Conqueror's heir, has children. And those children are before Maegor himself. So because of that, the line of primogeniture with Daenerys and Phaegon and all that, Daenerys technically, like, she has a claim because her father was the heir, but really she doesn't. So this dude Aegon, his dad was the Prince of Dragonstone, and everybody in the realm knew that, right? Rhaegar, but then Rhaegar dies at the Battle of the Ruby Ford, right? He dies by Robert Baratheon in Robert's Rebellion. So when that happens, his son, Phaegon, I prefer to put the F in parentheses after Aegon because I think he's legit. It just makes sense. It's easy. Also, a dragon is a dragon, whether black or red. So even if he descends from the line of Blackfyre, he's still, if you believe in that, like, obviously Daenerys is my favorite. I think she has a stronger claim, but I love playing the game. I'm reading the book. I get to pick favorites, whoever I'm reading. George literally writes it so that whatever POV you're reading, whatever side they're on, that becomes your favorite. So it's not my fault that I flip-flop around so much with these characters. But technically, he'd have a stronger claim than Daenerys because his dad was the Prince of Dragonstone who was going to become king. So when he comes around, and he's already around, right? He's literally in Westeros, right? With the Golden Company, who was formed by the Blackfire branch of the Blackfires. This dude, Bittersteel, whose brother was Daemon Blackfire, who's the founder of House Blackfire, right? He's in Westeros wreaking havoc, right? And John Connington is over there with him, and they're literally starting to conquer Westeros. And they initially were going to go to Daenerys, but they found out that Daenerys wasn't coming towards them. They were going to kind of meet halfway in Slaver's Bay, but Daenerys held up in Meereen, and she's doing her thing there. Basically, George's answer to what was King Aragorn like as a king? So did King Aragorn have a policy in which he exterminated all the orcs? Did he give them jobs? Did he allow them to integrate into society? So George wrote A Dance with Dragons, hoping to give his version of that, being a Tolkien fan, through the eyes of Daenerys. So Daenerys is ruling over there, right? So Aegon finds out about that, and he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me go over to Westeros. Let me establish dominancy. Let me have a bunch of people rally to my banner. So when she does come over here with her dragons, I'll look a lot more like either one, a formidable opponent, or two, a husband as a candidate. Because yes, that is his aunt, but George mentioned several times that the Targaryens are okay with that kind of stuff. He mentions it so much to the point where he wants to convince you in real life that he may be okay with that kind of stuff. I'm just kidding. Too far. Hopefully that answered your question. That was like a 10-minute rant on that. Sorry. Hey, why do you think it will take 2 years for season 2 to come out? I've always said it's not going to be 2 years. Like, we're going to be watching season 2 before October of 2024. So that alone, it'll be out before then. Season 2 will air probably at the latest late summer, meaning August, the same time, right? So that's not even 2 years. That's a year in 9.5, 10 months. So it's never been 2 years. They know this is the biggest show ever for them to come out of sort of nowhere, right? Aside from Game of Thrones, which is its predecessor, and it's now going to be potentially even bigger than that. They know 2 years too long. They built the world's biggest green screen, right? And not to sound like a cocky smartass, because I know I sound like that, but I'm sorry. They did all these things to make it be a much better process. And in doing so, it will not take the same amount of time that it took. Also, Game of Thrones, they had less dragons, so they had to go more all out with the battles. And also, the things that they would do made it take longer. So, for instance, you fly on location and you have one scene in one episode with two actors, right? But each one of those actors has their team of stuff. And if that actor is Daenerys, well, then you have 2 or 3 dragons. And what I'm talking about is when Jon takes Daenerys to go. This was in season 8 when they were filming. So this is sometime in the long night of 2018 before we found out Jon stabs Daenerys. Before I found that out because some dude decided to send me that picture from inside the set on it. I can't believe they also sent it to everybody else online, but not just me. So when they did that one scene, they had to fly to like Iceland or something crazy where it was like really snowy because it was the true north, and like they had to film on location with those 2 actors. So that one scene took it was something ridiculous because it was so short. The amount of time it took to film it was just unreasonable. So that was part of the reason why it took 2 years. And guess what? It didn't even take 2 years for Game of Thrones season 7 to season 8. It literally took about a year and 10 months. If I'm not mistaken, Game of Thrones season 7 ended in July, right, of 2017. Right? Maybe August. Maybe the last episode was in August. The next season, season 8, was on in get this. You ready? Wasn't it April of 2019? Wasn't it like May? Maybe I think it was May of 2019. So it wasn't even 2 years. People love to throw that 2-year thing in there. And I didn't mean to make you sound like that, Toby, but it's not going to be that long. What's going to make it easier is when they actually start filming, because when filming starts, we get the pictures. They know they have to film certain scenes outdoors, and I think they allow some of the pictures because some of them were really clear. Like, we got pictures of the feast scene. Remember the pig that was in between everybody in the dinner at episode 8? We got pictures of that high resolution. So maybe like they know little things like that. It just hypes us up. All this fire behind me, that's what it does to the fandom. It sets it ablaze, sets the Twitter hashtags going nuts, sets everybody, makes it trending on all the social media platforms. So just a little bit of information makes the time go by faster. And then ultimately, we're probably going to have teaser trailers a lot faster than we think, because those green screens are amazing. Like, it takes less takes ultimately when the actors get accustomed to it, because they feel as though they're submerged. At least that's what I'm getting in all the behind the scenes stuff. So if they're lying to me when they're telling me that in the behind the scenes stuff, well, then I feel like I'm being gypped, right? But that's probably not the case. The actors take less time to even film the scenes because they're more immersed in the scene themselves. They're looking around. They're like, oh, there's the dragon. So he's coming at me this way, right? Well, I'm genuinely terrified because that's a massive screen. So please allow me. Also, what am I talking about? The dragons aren't green screened. The castles are. The dragons are actually flown in. And I've been making this joke literally since House of the Dragon, even before it even aired, right? In every other video. And they actually went to Valyria, and they literally took Dragonbinder. So when George writes about Dragonbinder in his books, he's not lying. It's a real horn, okay? He has it, and he knows that if he uses it, it's going to burn him up again, right? And he hasn't used it since this one crazy party at this Grateful Dead concert in the 70s, right? He hasn't used it since then. It was the reason why Burning Man does the massive torch thing. It was because George was at this concert in the Grateful Dead. So anyway, the Dragonbinder horn is real. So Valyria is basically kind of like the King Kong Island, in that the only way for you to get there is surviving this crazy storm, similar to what happens when you enter the Bermuda Triangle. So when they got to this location with Dragonbinder, they blew the horn. They willingly found fans like myself, filled them in on all this information about how dragons are real and how, Valyria exists and how George has been there before and he still goes there often. And that's actually where he's at. And that's why he hasn't written One's a Winner. And who can blame him? Because he's literally riding dragons all day and he's like sucking titties. I wasn't about to say sucking dick. I don't think George does that, but if he does, who cares? Sucking titties, all that stuff, right? He's doing these things. So this is why Wins a Winner isn't here. But listen, I'm filling you in on this information. So they go there. They have fans like me willingly sacrifice themselves to blow Dragonbinder. Then dragons come. They strike a deal with the dragons. They say, hey, look, I will give you 500 pieces of gold if you give me 2 hours of screen time. The dragons say, fuck this, in big dragon voices, like the voice of Smaug in all of the Hobbit movies. Very accurate to how dragons actually sound. Very accurate. So they strike the deal with the dragons. They have those dragons fly into the Leavesden studio in the UK. I keep saying it in the videos because people don't believe me. So when they get there, they do that, right? My girl Paula Fairfield, she's a sound designer. She also follows me on Instagram and on Twitter, right? She records the sound they make, and then she has to come up with these creative stories to explain how she came up with the dragon. For instance, for Caraxes, Caraxes has a deflated nostril. Very creative. Paula, even though really Caraxes is just a long-necked dragon and sounds like that, he was actually found in Valyria in that state, right? Also, jokes aside, Caraxes is the most normal-looking dragon you've ever seen on screen. If you listen to the description, or in my case, I was just listening to it earlier. If you read the descriptions, for the most part, of Daenerys' dragons, they have long, sinewy, serpentine necks that curl around her. For instance, she has Viserion, her dragon, the white and cream and gold one. She's a really strong connection with him. So all of these dragons are really special to her because when Khal Drogo's burned in the funeral pyre, she places each one of the dragons. She doesn't know what's about to happen. She just knows she's doing something. But she places each one of the dragons at a different location on him. So she places Drogon at his heart, and she places Viserion at his penis, I think. And then she places Rhaegal at his head. But anyway, each one of the dragons have a different bond with her until she locks them away, and then she really loses. She even loses the bond with Drogon, even though it doesn't get locked away, because she ultimately, ceases communication with him. Because when the dragons get bigger, she starts to get scared of them, and they're no longer her kids. But the dragons are sucking from her titties. So what was I saying about this? Oh yeah, the real dragons. Oh yeah, Caraxes looks normal, right? So when you're reading the description with the long sinewy necks and you look it up, and sinewy literally means like exactly how Caraxes looks, and then the long necks, and like that's what I was saying. Drogon is so long he's able to curl all the way down her right breast, and then he's also all the way up her neck, and her head is resting on the top of her head. And he was just born. He's a long neck, long body boy. So Caraxes is the most normal looking real dragon from Valyria, bound to Ryan Condal and George R. R. Martin via Dragonbinder, right? Craziest thing, you know, it's nuts. I can't believe I just shared all that information with you. That is secret inside information. You guys now know this. Please don't, you know, please don't share any of the information. That's why the thumbnail says dragons are gods, not, you know, they're not men. So, I'm going to get out of here. This is 2 hours in 5 minutes. I have 104 people watching right now. I can't believe. I wonder how many people were watching when I was doing that 5-minute real dragon tangent, which is, by the way, I keep pretending that it's fake because I'm covering up right now, but I'm like Mac and It's Always Sunny, and I'm playing both sides. I want them to leak the information that the dragons are real. It's ridiculous they were able to keep them under wraps this long and underpay them that much. If we find out that the dragons are real, they'll probably make more money than Elon Musk. Wouldn't you willingly pay a dragon more money than someone who runs Amazon or who now runs Twitter, right? I would. Dragons would genuinely be your overlord. Maybe that's why they're trying to keep it as a wrap. You heard it here first. Dragon conspiracy. I'm a dragon daddy. My children are draconic. All right, so yeah. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Okay, so the next live stream will not be this Sunday. You'll see, your notifications will tell you on YouTube, and I'll tweet the fuck out of it and share it on Instagram. Please consider buying some merch. And also, like, there's stickers, there's coffee mugs. I made a holiday mug for it's got my version of the Stark. It just go check it out. It's linked down below in the description, and also on YouTube. You could scroll over to the subsection that says store, and that stuff listed there is all stuff that I'm selling on Teespring. So you click any one of those links and it'll take you to it. And then also, ultimately, my Patreon. That is how I am no longer reliant on YouTube. Please go check it out. I know I've mentioned it like 3 times in this video, and when I'm mentioning it now, where it's probably the most crucial because I have 100 people watching me, and people may be considering joining to do it, it sounds as though I've lost energy and effort into praising it, but it really is. It's a direct communication with me. I upload there very often. And if YouTube keeps making my hard work and energy that I put into my videos, if it keeps making that meaningless by giving me 1,000 views, which is like $2 in ad revenue, I'm not even lying. $2. If that's the case, I'm only going to be uploading on my Patreon. So please, if you're a big fan of mine, consider going to go join there now. You can join for like $3. And if people really want, I'll open the other tiers back up. I just can't willingly do it for like $1 anymore, because there's probably like 5 hours of content that's exclusive to that platform, and I don't want people to feel like they're paying me more money to feel like what they give me is meaningless because everybody else can just join for $1. So it's that I'm always overthinking everything. So please consider checking out my Patreon. The merch thing is something cool, because if you do want to give me something, I get a couple of bucks off that, but also you get something too. But Patreon is like that's going to be where probably I'm uploading at. Like, I'm not even joking. The last video that I have, go look at it, has 1,000 views. Everybody in my comments, unless it's a troll, is telling me, yeah, dude, I don't even get notifications. YouTube is shadow banning you. There's people, I'm seeing more and more comments. People are saying that they're doing it because I'm black. If that's the case, that's ridiculous. I didn't even know that was a thing on YouTube. I thought you have to be saying controversial stuff. That's always what the YouTubers I listen to, they say, yo, if we say this controversial stuff, we're going to get shadow banned. Whatever. I don't say anything controversial. I say curse words, but that's just in language. It's nuts. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't feel guilty saying about it right now because I'm promoting myself. I'm not saying like, hey, go, whatever. Thank you for watching. Long night. Oh yeah, shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. Let me do that real quick. Restore chat participants. All right, so type in the chat if you're watching right now. Shout out to Breanne Johnson, Cheryl Lindsay, Damon Blackfire, Dennis Sorensen, Fallen Marie, John Haymaker, Shaman Starry Wisdom, The North Must Remember, Zeno Leo, And anybody else that's watching but is not typing in the chat. Alongnat Zeldrizas Bustari Ixos Adaor. Oh yeah. Live stream will be Sunday. It'll be the same time that I went live after the House of the Dragon episodes, or Thursdays at 9. The reason why I'm hesitant to do it on Thursday is because my buddy Robert from Indeed Geek does his live streams here on Thursday. But if I'm not mistaken, and I did my math, he's in the UK. 6 hours from 9 o'clock is a solid 3 in the morning over there. So I don't know if he's still doing his live stream. Usually he does them at 5. I don't think they're ever 4 hours. So it is on the same day. I've already talked with him about it. He's like, dude, I don't own that day. I try to make it as far away from his time slot as possible, but ultimately I could just try to do it on a different day. I just need to figure that out. If you're a part of my Patreon, that's one of the things you get to do is help me figure out that time slot. It's going to be the best time for everybody to watch. So along that, also, thank you to all the channel members. I've got like 20 channel members, and they get to watch my videos ad-free. And then also, they get to submit comments to be answered in topics just like my patrons for these live streams. And you get to use all the emojis that you've been seeing that are outside of, like, I made a bunch with characters' faces and stuff. And then, like I said, you get to watch my videos ad-free, which is really cool. So thank you. For the 4th time. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. So thank you all for watching. It was 2 hours and it flew by. And I always get nervous, even though, like I said, I've done this 200 times. I always get nervous for like the first 20 minutes, but then I go back and watch the first 20 minutes and I'm like, oh, not that bad. Usually I'll notice I have spit in the corner of my lip or something. Just I focus in on it and I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking loser. That's why no one watches my videos, is because I'm so disgusting to look at on screen. That's what happens when. All right, y'all. Bye. Thank you for watching.